What is up YouTube, and welcome to this Halo TV show breakdown and review. Fair warning, I am a massive Halo fan, having played every single game, still having them on my shelf as well, and I even have a Cortana tattoo. I am a massive fan, so this is a video coming from a hardcore fan of Halo, the franchise. I am honestly furious that the games have been discarded for the showrunners who somehow think that they can make a better thing than the iconic franchise that Bungie started and 343 seem to be absolutely murderizing. It is a true shame that they have decided to go their own timeline. This is set in what is known as the Silver Timeline. And yes, while the show looks stunning, the sets, the characters, the whole kind of dressing of it looks Halo, here it just really reads like, fan fiction. Now we open on the planet Madrigal. Yes, I can't get that Encanto song out of my head, which is part of the UEG. Basically, for those not in the know, the UEG command Earth, while the UNSC are like the armed space forces guys that you go and, do, war stuff. However, as with every space show where humans are multi-planet species, there are those in the backwater planets that want freedom. Of course, we have in the games the People's Occupation and the Secessionist Union, I think I said that right, who try to lead planets to leave this alliance of UNSC/UEG, which led to insurrectionist wars. We see this here in Madrigal as the people are anti-UNSC and talk how just scary the Spartans are. Spartans themselves are a product of Catherine Halsey's child experiments under the UNSC kind of program, but it was like a bit under the hush-hush as it is in the show here. This led to Spartan 117, aka the Master Chief. However, the Covenant would rear their ugly little heads. They are a multi-alien race group who wish to find the Halo Array and Forerunner artifacts, and they would later try and turn it on, which was originally intended to be turned on to kill all sentient civilization because of a threat of zombie-like beings called the Flood. The Covenant appeared on the planet Harvest and subsequently wiped out the planet Reach later on, which is not only a great book, but the best Halo game in my opinion. However, the changes are drastic. We follow Quan, an original character with a haircut worse than Charlize Theron in the Fast and the Furious franchise. The show takes place, like I said, in its own timeline. It seems to be set around the 2550s, and it is set a few years before the fall of Reach when it was glassed. But the planet does make an appearance, so it seems like this may happen later on in the show's timeline if it's not cancelled. Quan is out with friends and come across Covenant elites or Sangelis, which are the prime warrior race who sit just below the leader prophets in the Covenant hierarchy until, they were ousted by the brute later on. They even say what, like the game versions. They're here mining for something which is, a Forerunner artifact, and attack the group, leading to the Spartans to drop in. And yes, that Master Chief's landing was pretty darn cool. The action is actually really good. This is what is known as the Silver Team, while in the games, John's team was actually the Blue Team. Not sure why they've decided to cut it, but probably because I think that having John's friends hunt him that we know from the games would be a bit too on the nose, as they've just decided to go rogue here. Now, in this, Master Chief's action, like I said, looks stunning, and he even hides behind cover for his shield to recharge. Game players, you know that feeling on Legendary, don't you? He even rips off a machine gun turret that Quan's dad used, just like the games, but the HUD, it's the wrong colour. But they chase the Covenant, who are searching for an object, which is seemingly Forerunner tech, which will lead to the battle on a Halo ring later on. I wonder if that is what the show is going to end on. We see Halsey'S Lab and is scolded for working on human experiments. She works with the ONI, the Office of Naval Intelligence in the games, but it seems like she is just a UNSC operative here. Could be wrong, I may have missed like a subtitle or something here or there. Her daughter in the games is Miranda Keyes, which is referenced as being the lead on Alien Tech, but it's a bit different in the games. We also get a look at what seems to be Cortana in a tube. Seems like they are trying to make clones to take over the Spartans. In the games, she was simply an AI cloned brain. We cut to High Charity, the capital of the Covenant, and we see one of the few prophets who are blindly followed by people, and this is the Prophet of Mercy. He was the oldest of the prophets, with the other being Truth and Regret, and I loved mounting their weird little hover thing and punching their faces in the games. In the biggest and most controversial change, other than Cortana's look, there's a human with the Covenant. The humans were seen as lesser by the Forerunners and by extension the Covenant, despite the elites helping humans after the Covenant Civil War, the Great Schism. I hate the idea of human traitors, and it lessens the threat of the Covenant, who in my eyes and in the games would just wipe out any human just to get what they want. They are an unrelenting force. But you know, politics? Ugh. We get what I feared, which is Miranda Keyes talking to the survivor Quan, who implores Quan to spread the message of the Covenant threat so that humanity can unite. It makes sense that the humans in this world would join the Covenant, as the Separatists will probably want to start working with the Covenant later. Just after the conversation between Keyes, she says Commander Shepard, which could be a reference to Mass Effect. Halsey has inspected the artifact and the effect it has had on 117, which has changed him to make him human, which took over the course of like a load of games. And he touches the object, seeing his early memories, which have been repressed. It seems Quan will be the one to make Master Chief a real boy again, whereas, oh my god, I don't know what they're doing. But we cut to see Miranda speaking with her father Jacob, who is integral to the first game, Halo Combat Evolved, and Madrigal's not going to get independent. Interestingly, her dad lies, and it seems that the girl has been Article 72, but we know she's not dead just yet. Despite being attacked by the Covenant, she wants independence, and this is a threat, as Madrigal is a source of deuterium, which is the fuel for UNSC ships. Hey, people doing shady stuff to get a fuel source, just like real life. Quan mentions how her mother was killed at an outer colonist meeting, and yep, the Cortana system is mentioned, and Halsey seemingly wants to clone herself to make Cortana. In the games, well, Cortana was a cloned brain AI, and yeah, anyway. They enact what is known as the Sauron Protocol, as Chief is going rogue, itself a reference to Sauron 66, who was a Spartan that went rogue, and he will appear in the show here, played by Bokeem Woodbine. And Silver Team are sent to take out the Chief. It's sort of similar to the worst Halo game of all time, Halo 5, where Chief is tried to be arrested. It seems the show's creators didn't realise the issue with 90s Judge Dredd movie, as Chief takes off his helmet, which he only did in the Halo 4 legendary ending as he returned to Earth. Like I've said throughout the video, I hate the helmet being removed, but I do really like the actor, as he was great as Mad Sweeney in American Gods, and while the voice is not the iconic voice from the games, you get used to it. But it's like something you just have to get used to because it's not going to get any better. But that was my video. That was my review. I didn't really like it. I started to, I will admit that, once we start seeing the familiar characters. But it seems like the show's creators have done a Cowboy Bebop and just made something their own, which will probably be cancelled. That's it for this video. I'll see you soon, and goodbye.